It's time for our lifestyle segment, and we're discussing the effects of plastic waste, plastic rubbers, sachets on the environment. Now, as you know, plastic bags tend to disrupt the environment adversely. They can get into soil and slowly release toxic chemicals into the ground. Also, look around mostly in the capitals. There's people are throwing plastic bags, rubber bags, you buy food, is going like into our foods. It can be very, very harmful. What are we doing about it? How can we, I guess, subdue the usage of plastic waste and plastic bags? And what happens in 50 to 100 years' time? In Ghana, do we have alternatives to use? Well, we'll be discussing all that and more. And joining Anaba and myself is Victor Akwe, who is an environmental health officer. And this segment is brought to you by Lipton, a refreshing way to start your day. But take a quick look at this little piece that we prepared.
Plastic bag pollution has come about in Ghana as a result of the rapid urbanization. This has contributed heavily to the blocking of both underground and open drains, which often creates heavy flooding in our cities and towns at the least downpour. In some parts of Ghana, where there are very large open drains, women during the rains are often seen dumping their domestic waste, which are usually full of polythene waste, into the drains, thinking they are disposing them off. Indeed, plastic bags have become nuisance in Ghana. That's a major pollutant all over the country, and this is a source of great worry to many Ghanaians. In fact, polythene or plastic bags have become an integral part of our lives. What will you buy in Ghana which is handy and will not be placed in a plastic bag for you? From porridge on the street corner to a novel in a bookshop, meat at the shop to the perfume at the supermarket, all these are delivered to consumers in plastic bags. Why plastic bags and not any other? This is simply because plastic bags are very cheap, easy to handle, and convenient. Despite this, one cannot deny the fact that plastic bags are causing serious environmental pollution. The phenomenon of sachet drinking water or pure water or mineral water has also come to aggravate the whole situation. Many who drink sachet water anywhere in Ghana are most likely to leave the plastic bag behind right there. For who to come and clean the mess, only God knows.
Okay, just to remind you that this segment is brought to you by Lipton. Join Lipton Tea on the journey of refreshment and vitality. The world's favorite hot brand tea will give you the needed level of alertness to start your day. So take another look at your day and begin with a cup of Lipton for natural refreshment in mind and body. Lipton Tea, inspiration flowing from nature. Okay, so just to kind of begin, Hawaii became the first United States state they've banned right now, they've banned the use of plastic bags. So if you're going shopping, you need to find an alternative source. Do you honestly think that in Ghana we would get to that point? Because I think it would be a great welcome if we can, ban it completely.
Thank you very much, and good morning to your viewers. And if you are looking at the two scenarios, you said that there was a ban in Hawaii, but we are not able to give what alternative or what processes they went through and how long it took them for the ban.
Then I can give you some information right here. Okay, so Hawaii recently became the first state in the United States to ban plastic bags at checkout counters after a 2-year campaign across the island. Specifically, retailers will no longer be allowed to carry bags that are non-biodegradable plastic bags or 40% recycled paper bags. So retailers have been given 3 years, that is until 1st of July 2015, to facilitate the transition. And so in Ghana, what are we doing about that?
Thank you very much. I think from your presence, it means it wasn't a total ban, but there was some kind of policy in manufacturing. So when you bring it to our situation in Ghana, they say we can also tow along the same line. But until we also accept that we are ready for the price that will pay for whatever the degradation or biodegradable additives that will be added, and we are ready to accept the price, then I will say that we also go along that way with time. I mean, with plan, that is from the national, then the substructures taking it up and then be implemented at the level to the grassroots. But until we consumers also are ready to accept the price, manufacturers may also find it difficult to go along that way where they will absorb the cost. So I would say it's a two-way affair. The manufacturer getting the money for what is producing, and then the consumer also absorbing the cost, and then they share 50-50. Then I would say it's a positive sign that we will go there.
Okay. It sounds good. For me, mere rhetorics. You're from Ladade Kotopon. You are responsible for a section of Accra. Then there is AMA. There are several assemblies in Ghana, all managing the various districts. Let's look at your vicinity. We know that Accra, for instance, generates 2,000 tons of waste every day. What have you done at Ladade Kotopon to fight waste generation? What are you doing? Because you can tell us what Amma brought up is good, is a positive way. What are you doing?
Thank you very much. The question is a very direct question.
Yes.
Yes, like you rightly said, Karikotopon is part of Accra, and it was just seceded from AMA last year, so it's a new assembly. We are putting measures to get solid waste contractors to collect waste, but we are going to look beyond the collection. We are in a process. We are going to look at how it can be sedimented with the waste collection, so that they will not only do the bulk collection of waste.
But it's not the first time you're hearing this.
No, we are talking about Ladade Kotopon specifically, which is a new assembly,
yes,
and so we can put in measures.
But you came out of the AMA, didn't you?
Yeah, we came up on AMA as big organization, which also have their own structures
Where
of
were you
fighting.
Initially?
I was with one of the sub-metro, that's the La sub-metro.
Okay.
But with the AMA, they have a structure, the task force, plastic waste task force in place.
But they couldn't fight it.
Which they have a lot. So if you allow me, I can give you an insight into, right? If you see, you can see that we have trash to cash. Trash to cash, which was an initiative between a local government or AMA and the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology. So there are people who are going around collecting trash or plastic waste, and then they send it to a collection point where they buy, and they send it for recycling. And for which they are also working closely with our 6 companies which are in recycling. And currently there are 2, I think, at industrial area, 2 recycling plants. They also have people in green uniform, I'm talking about AMA, who check people who litter, and they also educate them one-on-one.
Has that helped?
And they also, has that help? The question, has that help? Until you do a research to see before and the after. But you can see for yourself. If you're coming
from the assembly, you should know if those men in the green are making any impact.
Yes, they are making a lot of impact. As people now, when they are conscious that you may not know if you drop a litter, these people might be around to arrest you. And they do send them to court. They do prosecute them about it. So it is true in Accra. But I think with the platform here, we are looking at Ghana as a whole. So if AMA is doing it, some place is doing, does it mean that other places we don't have plastic waste?
Okay, let me sort of come and chip in here. I love recycling. I've been recycling for many years. Growing up, I was brought up with a recycling culture. Now, living in Ghana right now, it is so difficult to know what to do with my plastic bags. So, Victor, I told you earlier that I keep, boxes and boxes of my water that I use, and then I usually have a boy who I give it to, and I think he says he goes to sell it. That's the closest one. I don't know where I can take my plastic bag. The education is not out there. We're having a conversation earlier where you're telling me that, oh yeah, you're going to now give me numbers. For people who want to recycle, who want to maybe take their plastic waste and take it somewhere. I know of trashy bags where that's they have their own NGO as a private thing. But, what is the Ghanaian government doing so that recycling is in the forefront? Not just maybe telling people, oh, don't do it, but how can you make it more visible to most of us?
No, thank you very much. Some time back, I saw flyers from this trash to, and then with their numbers. And I really also saw one of the media on the electronic where they also display numbers of places where if you have plastic bags, you may send it to. But you know, the situation is, as people have to take, if I have one bag of waste plastic sachet, do I carry it all along?
No, you collect
transport?
it.
So
no, you collect it. You can collect for 6 months. You can collect for 3 months. And if you're interested, or even if people know that, okay, I can take it here, maybe I can even make some small money. But is that education is not out there enough?
Yeah, so I agree with you. The education was done, but it should be sustained. The sustainability aspect of education was what we're missing. So it shouldn't be a one-stop education episode like what we get. And I think all this sometimes may be out of sponsorship. There's a cost aspect of the education. But if, like I was saying, if the substructures are very well in place to carry out what is done at the top, so they will absorb some of these costs, and then it can go down. So if you are within a community, let's say a unit committee within your locality can have a collection point. So close
That's
to you.
something the government has to do.
Yes, close to you. I can just walk few meters and I can get this thing collected, and they can also go around and then support. But it must always come as a policy, so that it not be only one doing and the other is not doing. So maybe until we have a national strategy that sits down to the substructures, we may be doing, but it not be holistic.
Okay, let's put that national strategy you're talking about aside, because waste is a big problem in this country. You go to the markets and they're overwhelmed by waste. And you ask the traders, they have paid monies to AMA, they've paid monies to Ladade Kotopon, they've paid monies to whoever, and the waste sits there in a big dustbin. Sometimes it's not even a dustbin, it's a container.
And it's everywhere.
And it stays there forever. What do you do in the markets?
Okay, with the markets, like I was saying, the waste contract management is contracted or is franchised to contractors.
And they are not paid often, so the containers stay in the market for long.
With this, either two, they collect and then assembly pay. But assembly has moved from that level to the polluter pay. So you generate your waste and you bear the cost of disposal. For this time around, the traders, as you see them, they bear the cost of collection and disposal. But I think sometimes the contractors face problem with the final disposal site. Sometimes they have to queue. When they get there, they have to queue. So if they have to make 3 trips a day, because of queuing, it may make 1 trip a day. And the generation rate is such that because of the population, it is rapid. So, and then sometimes when it's rain, maybe they have difficulty in getting to the landfill site. And also a problem with the final disposal site. So we're talking in general about waste. But if you're looking at plastic waste, I may say even if plastic waste is sent to the landfill site, in the landfill site, it creates problem because it's been researched that there's leachate, sometimes of lead, there's leachate of dioxin into the water body, and definitely, eventually, will come back and then get into our system.
Have we been able to solve the problems in Weija?
In terms of
what the residents of Weija have been talking about from the disposal of waste in their community?
Well, and sitting here, I cannot say because I'm working in the assembly of Weija.
But eventually, that's where most of our waste will go to.
Yes, but not only Weija. If you look at the waste as it moves along on runoff and grey water, it's end up in the sea. And from research, they found out even at the sea debris, about 50 to 80% is of plastic. And at the same time, we have the Beijing, the Kole Lagoon, you can see plastic islands.
Yes.
So even aquatic life is affected within. And then aquaculture is also at a risk. So if you're looking at this, you see that it's not limited to only wage about water bodies.
Okay, but you are an environmental health officer, so you definitely know the effects of plastic waste on all of us. What do? You and your other colleagues, what do you do in the various assemblies to reduce the effects on people? And I'm going back to Wager because I've done a number of stories from Wager. You go there and you see children with very bad skin infections, and it's because of the disposal we do in there. So how are you and your colleagues reducing the menace?
Thank you very much. In that regard, then we're looking at Environmental Health Directorate.
But you're an environmental health officer.
Yes, Environmental Health Directorate. So in what we do in terms of waste as with the assembly is we give assembly technical advice on ways of solving or getting rid of the waste. But when it comes to the individual, when you visit somebody, when you visit a premises, you engage the person as to the practical problems that exist and its effect. But the situation is, when you have done so and they flout the law, you also do punitive measures by taking them on. Sometimes you have to serve them notice to bring to attention that
with your bylaws,
with the bylaws, with the national laws.
Yeah.
Maybe we say it hardly works because you have not been in the web. But if you happen to be in the web, then you know that it's working very, very effectively.
Well, I could give you several instances where your bylaws haven't worked.
Okay, I may also say you can do your research to the courts and find out if cases are being brought, and that will tell you that the bylaws are working. When it comes to enforcement, it's not only about prosecution, but it's about compliance enforcement. If you are doing creating a nuisance, can I get it abated without necessarily going to court? This is what we are looking at.
Okay.
But like you said, lifestyle, you can't always be there 24/7 for the lifestyle. So it behoves on the individual to understand that what I do today has impact that will come back to me and others. So you can do the education, but like this platform is used, individuals must say that they have maybe about 70% role to play.
Do they know, when you go out to do your education, do you get the impression that people understand that indeed whatever I'm littering now could affect me and my children tomorrow? Do they know?
Yes, they do, but I wouldn't say this thing. If you look at our settings and look at our educational background, even some educated people are also doing it, though they know very well. Some maybe have PhD in environmental and management, and yet they still litter because it's attitude. But as to knowing, people see it's too abstract. They see what you are saying that is abstract because it's not close to them.
Victor, let me ask you something. I mean, companies make lots and lots of money by either doing pure water. Right now, everybody seems to be doing water right now. There's so many brands on the market, and they're using plastic bags to produce their waters. You have, when you go to buy anything in the shops, you're going to get a rubber bag to put your things in. Essentially, people are either making them or importing them in. Is there any levies on taxes on them to make sure that, well, if you're bringing all this plastic waste as a company, that you have to be responsible to make sure that it's collected and there's an education out there? Are there any levies on, maybe if I do pure water, that people are putting them on the ground, they're littering, that you people have to also make sure that you're also part of the collection of it?
Yes, I was reliably told by the Task Force on Plastic Waste that the producers of plastic products, they have a monthly dues or so that they pay to support the task force in the course of the education, in the course of getting people to collect the plastic that they produce. But like you said, there are so many others who might not be members of the association. So how do they then contribute to this effort? And at the same time, we have importers of plastic manufacturers, of which I cannot tell because some of these taxation are policy matters. They may have a political dimension when it comes to taxation. So I may not talk much about it. I don't know if there is any. But the bottom line is, do you have a system where what you bring in, which cannot degrade so fast, and it tends to stay in the environment for more than 200 to 300 years? Do you have a system for which it shouldn't get to the environment at all? And then what I learned from some literature, maybe we'll give a try here, is when you buy certain things, they put extra cost on it so that you bring it back. When you bring it back, you take the
okay, I'll sort of chip in there. I know in the UK a few years ago, most supermarkets, if you go and you want a plastic bag, you have to pay for it. So they're saying the idea was to either bring your own bag, you recycle your bags. So there's a little levy that was placed on it, so for the consumers. In Ghana, I don't think that's possible. I don't see market women charging extra for bags. Do you see, what is the way forward essentially?
The way forward essentially is manufacturers and producers of plastic waste must see to it that it doesn't get to the environment. So if it could be a way that the moment I buy a plastic product, there is an information telling me that this is the way I should dispose of it.
Do you think people read? Do you think when they buy a plastic bag, they're going to look and read on the side?
If we've developed a system, then even the one selling can even tell you that, please, after use, do it this way.
How do we develop the system when you, the environmental officers, are not giving concrete, suggestions to the drafting of policies? When was the last time you, for instance, gave any suggestion to your boss about fighting plastic waste in Ghana?
And on that note, you see, there are systems by which you can get into policy. You can do proposal.
What was the last proposal you drafted?
Yes, if I'm looking at far back, when Honorable Ajib Branson was the mayor of Accra.
Oh, that was a long time ago.
Yes, I'm telling you. So I'm telling you how far back.
That was a long time ago.
We've been looking at how to reduce littering by the use of IT.
Were you listened to? Did they take it up?
In the, well, I cannot say whether I was listening to or not, but the question is, what's the process of the policy that we can? Policy making has a process. So if the process is such that it cannot involve the people who are on the ground, but maybe it is down for them to implement, then you see that you have a difficulty when it comes to implementation.
So what you're saying is that they don't listen to you.
So policy.
I'm not saying listening to us, but I'm saying that when it comes to the process of policy making, then you can test yourself out that, like, yes, I can also make contribution. But sometimes there's many ways of making contribution into policy. Even demand by the community can also influence policy process politically. But in this direction, like this platform that we are using, it's also a means of advocacy into such areas.
Are you satisfied with the work you and other environmental health officers are doing in this country?
Well, if you take what the functions are in terms of controlling what factors are likely to have negative effects on health, then I may say we are doing well. If you take the level of resourcing so that you can go beyond what we are doing, then you may say we need a little more.
Okay, let's go back to the first one you raised, that you're doing very well. What makes you think you're doing very well?
We're doing very well because we can see that for issues that come to us, for solution, as to abating or to solving it, we get more than 80%.
Issues like?
Issues like, when we're talking about environmental sanitation, we are looking at issues like waste that is disposed of indiscriminately within
but people
premises.
are still disposing of waste. You know, every time you go to communities, it's just there.
Yeah.
They sit there for several days. So what are you talking about that you're doing well in that aspect?
What I'm saying is, the waste that is stored in the house is what the contractor can pick for disposal. The waste that is disposed at night elsewhere is what we see in the environment.
Why don't you have men out there at night to check all that?
When
you know very well that night disposal is causing problems. It's actually not allowing you to be great, if I want to put it that way.
Yes. Like you said, working at night goes with a lot of, risk and a lot of logistical support. If you work at night, you need police protection. If you work at night, you also need some means of transportation. You also need some kind of allowance in all this. You may make your action plan and all this, but you see, it beholds on the ability to sustain these programs. So community, we are looking at the use of community members in that area who stay 24/7 in the community, and that's where we are moving towards now.
Okay, Victor, let me ask you, just, overall, do you think our government is serious enough, not just in Accra or the big cities, about the plastic bag waste and, all the plastic waste? Do you think are they serious about it? Because every community you go, when you're traveling up and down, whether you're going to Cape Coast and stuff, you see plastic bags, people
Because it's the
everywhere.
main receptacle we have. It's plastic.
It's thrown everywhere. So do you think they're serious enough about finding alternatives and, whether it's waste management, whether it's recycling? I don't think they are. But do you think our government is serious?
If you look at the
successive governments, you want to put it that way,
yes.
not just
there is an environmental sanitation policy. This was reviewed in September 2010, and then if you look at waste in general, it's also a key. So in that direction, you see that the government is taking up, but the problem or the issue here is the substructure, the substructures to implement this policy, and then maybe a coordinating body that will ensure and monitor and see how the assemblies are enforcing or implementing the structures which is on the paper. Maybe that's where we are having the challenge. So if you take central government only comes up with policy, but it's what might be operationalized, and operationalization comes from the assemblies. But as to which body coordinates right from the ministerial level so that it seeps down, and which can say that Assembly A has implemented this so far and they are able to reduce the rapid waste by this percentage. So like you look at EPA, they are doing ACOBAM.
Yes.
You will see this industry, the green, so and so. Until maybe such a thing, we say this assembly is meeting this standard in this direction where the plastic waste can be taken as a different kind of waste with a special attention. Maybe we haven't gotten, but we are putting all in a general perspective of solid waste.
Okay, let me ask you to grade the AMA on a scale of 1 to 10 in fighting plastic waste.
He made him start smiling.
Grade AMA.
Well, we talk about grading, and if you're looking at grading, you
Mr. Akwe.
Yes.
AMA 1 to 10.
Yes, if you're grading AMA, you have to consider other factors.
Mr. Akwe.
I would say AMA has instituted what we call it, strategies in controlling.
Yes, we know. We've had the AMA board say a lot of things, but grade them in fighting waste management in Accra 1 to 10. Just grade it without giving us the lessons. Grade AMA.
If 1 to 10, I would grade AMA at 5.
5 over 10. Thank you very much. That's quite fair. And Dade Kotopong, you started not long ago. You think you can ever get to 5?
Dade Kotopong, you will hear who will get beyond 5.
We will go beyond 5.
5.5.
Because
5.1.
we're putting all the strategies in place, and then I know the Honorable MC is hardworking and he's always happy to get things done. So we'll go beyond that place, and then you can come around and testify to it.
Definitely. We'll take that word up. We'll be there to check.
But we need to do more. I think essentially, thank you. I think we definitely need to do more, and individuals as well.